Umeacha space. Framing.
Oh.
Kichwa hapo hivyo. Sasa iko sawa. Iko sawa. And we live.
Send me the link. We share with our.
Sawa, nimetuma.
Okay, I've seen it. So episode number
72, man.
Man,
We're cruising nicely.
the big gold 100 is coming soon. See you.
Coming soon. It's beckoning. How's the week been, man?
So this is episode 72. Man, the way time moves.
Man. See, we already halfway through the year. Sasa hata July ndio inaisha. August ndio hiyo. Christmas is just around the corner.
Reminder of how much you've wasted the year. Having done practically nothing. Well, it is what it is. You say that you do what you can with what you have.
Yeah.
So, week on my end, kawaida, very boring. But then again, I'm not seeking to be entertained. We began work on the rear brakes, but we realized there's a certain component that is not available to be purchased off shelf. So we are making efforts. We'll be fabricating it ourselves. Okay, we'll outsource the fabrication. We'll go to these lathe machine people to a purchase specification. We fabricate the bolt on our own and we move on. Because we've looked for that bolt everywhere to make Kosa. So once we fabricate it, the remaining part will to build the casing, the what we call the beautification of the project, because we are all we are driven by the beauty recognized by the eyes. We are driven by aesthetics, and we look at when you look at the most of the the offerings on the market as far as electrical bikes are concerned. Upon the aesthetics, there's practically nothing on offer. They are functional, they are working, but in terms of a commodity that looks nice, something that you can admire, there's nothing. The people who have seen that make very nice bikes are people in Europe and India. Yeah, Europe and India are making very nice things. They look, apart from being nice, they look nice. Upper Kenya, we are still on the functional bit. As long as it has a battery, it can run, that's it. So we
I presume sometimes it's kind of like an evolution to mean that even the European and the Asians, that's where they began. I mean, look at Toyotas. If I look at the Toyotas that were being produced, even when I was a kid, now Toyota is up there with the best of the best.
But you have to select which stage of evolution you're going to jump in. Does it mean that if I start building a car, it should look like a 1974 Toyota?
No, I agree. No doubt. I mean, aesthetics now in this day and age that we are in are critical. I mean, the reason why Apple for sure is at the top of its market, it's because it's aesthetically appealing, and then functionally, yes.
It's like saying the first Tesla car was a Tesla Roadster, which was based on the Lotus Elise. Would Elon Musk say that now, because the first electric cars came into play, I think in the 1870s, Should he say that now that I'm now starting, I should go and build something that looks 1870? You jump in the stage of evolution where you are in. It's like you are boarding, like when I board the train. I board my train at the river, but the train has come from Lukenya. Does it mean that I have to go all the way to Lukenya to board it?
No.
Mm. So, and then the technology is there, the knowledge is there. So, uh, and some of these people, when I look at them, they seem to be having quite a, they seem to be more resourceful. They have more resources than what some of us are doing. So I found it that I don't want to mention names, but I found some of them to be doing the bare minimum. And out of due diligence, there are some products which I came to realize were direct imports. I don't, out of professional ethics, I don't want to mention names, but there's a particular bike I used to see, and from the way it looked like something somebody had made an effort to build it locally. Then I see it on Alibaba. The very way it looks like, minus now the
Branding.
logo, minus the logo. Yeah,
The
it's like sometimes like, then when you look at the amount of money some of these characters received, you're like, are
They
you not
have
good?
spent a bit on there on doing something on their own. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, many people definitely go for the shortcut because now the shortcut is you can quickly go to China and produce something and boom. All you need to do is just put a logo on it and just say it's made in Kenya, while clearly you're just cheating your way through that. What you guys are doing is the harder work. You're
Hmm.
taking the longer route, and for a reason. All I hope is you're documenting all those lessons, all those steps you're taking, because then they'll inform the next steps once you have a fully functional prototype or product that you can put out in the market and say this is definitely Kenyan
In fact,
Kenyan
okay,
built.
there's also now, in, let's, if you remove the, if you say, okay, let's move away from manufacturing, from looking nice and it being Kenyan. Okay, we can put that. Now let's now talk business wise. If we talk business wise, we'll say, now from the customer point of view, because at the end of the day, a product has to be customer oriented.
Mhm,
It's no use for product to look good by your metrics, but in the face of the customer, he looks at you and says, "Eh, Pwana, he is not good." So I would
mhm,
say, for motorbikes, the best electric motorbike will be the one with the widest and most efficient battery swap network. End of story.
mhm, mhm,
There's no two ways around it. Bike
mhm,
qualities, we can sort them out. But as long as the battery swap network is not very wide,
mhm,
itasaidika vipi? That is why one of the things we're looking at is now looking at even a second investor whose role is simply to be backing us up on the battery swap system. Because
So creating a
imagine
network.
you're selling a very nice car,
Mm,
very efficient, but in the entire Nairobi County, they have only one fuel station for that car.
mm,
Can you imagine the inconvenience you're causing people? Yes,
yes,
it can go very
yes.
far on 1 liter of petrol, but if you have to drive from, say, Ngong to Afya Center to fuel the car, hi, ndugu yangu, are you not cost?
You know,
Are you not?
there's actually a video. It reminds me of a video I think I saw on Instagram of somebody comparing. I think it was either a Cybertruck or was it just a general EV car,
Hmm,
and comparing it with a normal diesel car.
hmm,
And she looked at all the elements. So it's even when they're charging through those electric chargers, they are charged in the US. There's
hmm,
an amount you also charge. So she looked at the amount that somebody spends charging their car, the, the amount of time, the amount of money, all those variables. and then how far that car goes in terms of the range. And she was like, why would I then spend all my money buying an electric vehicle? It seems at every element of it, it's a disadvantage. Because I go at a petrol station in about 5 minutes, I've fueled up my car and I'm off. And that car takes me longer than an electric vehicle. And she was
So,
looking at all those. It seems like it was even more expensive. But yes, I think maybe there's some savings in some other regard. So, but it's now figuring out, as you've seen that there's a need with the battery swapping, the system itself, and the network. One, the network is limited, and the system is also. I mean, in some cases, you don't even have the battery swaps. In some cases, people are actually literally charging the battery. So that means having to expend what about 30 or 45 minutes waiting for the battery to, to get enough juice for you to get on. And then again, you're limited how far you can go because if you go outside a certain zone, you won't find the charging station.
so that is why one of our things we are looking at is if you are starting off, and let's just be honest with ourselves. If you are going to be serious, okay, with the proper funding for, let's say, electric bikes, you need to have at least uh, full battery swap network cover in at least 3 counties from your radius. That means if I'm based in Atiri, which is Machakos County, I should be able to cover Nairobi County and the surroundings. So if I'm Machakos, my bordering county should be Kajiado. Then I should have something in as have presence of swap networks in Kajiado. Nairobi should be covered, and then people like is it Kiambu County, because these things are close and there's a possibility of some of these motorbikes crossing over. You have to be realistic. You have to be very, very. Don't go selling a product where its operation is limited to one county. What are you doing? You have to be very, very realistic. And when it comes to manufacturing, especially not just EV, vehicle manufacturing is a very serious thing. The normal vehicles, at least you know that there's a petrol station or diesel filling point just about anywhere. That's why we normally say that once we are past two-wheeler and three-wheeler, we want to go to the hybrids immediately. With the hybrid, as much as the savings are less, but the convenience of going anywhere is there. It's only that you're saving your fuel by 20%. You are saving on wear and tear of braking components, also wear and tear of the engine, because a similar sized engine on a series hybrid will run at lower revs because there's no mechanical linkage between the vehicle and the wheels. And for electric vehicles, medium-sized electric vehicles, we are better off having what we call medium-sized cargo carriers that are linked to either the they are dealing with the logistical aspects of manufacturing. So these are range tailored vehicles for factories or distributors. And these are entities that obviously have data on how far their vehicles go. So they are tailor made. You'll go to a bakery, he'll tell you on worst case scenario, this is as how far my vehicles will go. You tailor him for that, then fit for him a charging system integrated to the factory's power supply. Now you are solving a particular problem for a factory. If it is for school, you're not going to tell the school to sell their diesel bus because there are days the school goes for trips. But on a day-to-day basis, where the school is shuttling students back home, back to school in the morning, kitu kama hiyo, the electrical vehicle will come in. So you have to be, because the disadvantage of an EV, does not operate on a one size fits all. It has what we call tailoring. That is the business end of it. The way I'll talk to a school owner is different to the way I'll talk to a factory owner. A school owner on a day-to-day basis is morning and evening. A factory anaenda na orders. So we'll have to look at his worst case scenario. If in his worst, longest circuit distance is distance cover from the factory to the customer and back in the evening, close of the day. That means close of the day, the circuit is complete. Now for this time, the vehicle is not going anywhere. Imeenda, imefanya kazi na imerudi. So if his longest circuit distance is 250 kilometers, then are giving a vehicle for 500 kilometers. Now he has a very huge buffer of double in case of anything. That is how it will work for our case in Kenya. We have a very serious problem of copy pasting. Copy pasting is a very serious problem. If you go to matatu industry, I find it a bit tricky because now with the SACCO system, we have the SACCO is owned by different investors with their own vehicles coming together. Now, where do these vehicles park in the evening? Because the vehicle will park where the owner wants it to park. Correct? So if one vehicle is in a park somewhere else, in a park, so how are you going to centralize them for you to have charging in the evening? And how many chargers are you going to place in that area? What space is there available? Yes, I have seen some electric vehicles here, but for public transport, it has to be one entity. One entity with the minimum 30 vehicles with a standard yard for them to operate. So that you put the charging system there, now you have the data. And even still, if we to go to that, I'd prefer we start with the hybrids, series hybrid. The advantage of a series hybrid, it provides you the very good data collection opportunity because it is a generator generating power to run an electric vehicle. So you have an electric meter in your house, correct?
Yes.
Now that way you fit an electricity meter in the vehicle. It will tell you how much how much power the vehicle is consuming from the generator. If you collect that data for a year or two, now you know for this vehicle to run from morning to evening, this is what we need. Because let's face it, the products that we buy here, I have not seen any organization that uses Africa as an R&D platform. We buy things based on R&D data from other places. That's where you have something comes with a lot of hype, 2-3 months gone. Like the electric vehicles, the Basigo, they bought another bigger one, but still the uptake is not so big. Still, people are buying more and more of the Isuzu NQ1.
The diesel.
Yes. Yes. Isuzu not be feeling threatened.
I noticed when Basigo came here also, I mean, there was quite a lot of publicity about it. The government saying it had bought a number of, a bigger fleet. And I started seeing them on the road. But I can tell you, I mean, lately, I don't know if they have expanded beyond what they had initially bought. But I see them more rarely now. I don't know if it is a factor of their fewer or whatever it might be. But what I noticed much more prominently is they bought just a whole fleet of new Yutongs, diesel. These are petrol ones, or diesel, I presume.
Diesel.
Yeah, so they're not.
Even one of the
biggest one. It was interesting for me to see that dynamic. As much as, I mean, there's a bigger push to go EV, they still it shows it's much more practical to still maintain.
Because the practicality will be very hard to achieve if you do not approach something with what you call the problem solving mindset. The very last thing, in fact, for places something like matatu sector, the very last thing, the what do you call it? The priority is conduct of the matatu crew and the way the vehicle are driven. You're number one. Start with that.
Exactly.
Let's
Just
have them
bring
driven
order.
well. You
Bring
never
order
hear.
first, then
Yeah,
everything else will come.
you never hear passengers complaining about, oh, he got in here. The noise you'll hear about motor is, hey, how they are driven, how rough they are, and all. Sort that one out. Then we can look into this. Like you live in a house that it has a water shortage. Maji inakuja Monday, then the next time you'll see water is Saturday, then for Saturday inakuja Wednesday. Then you say you bring in a 52-inch plasma screen.
Mhm.
Do you understand what's going on in that house? So matatu though is not an issue of diesel. Matatu is a matter of crew conduct.
Mm.
Look at the way some of them dress. And what is very strange is this is an industry that is a multi-billion shilling industry, but it has some of the most uncouth characters you'll ever come across. Mm. Oh, mm. Their
You bring
industry.
order in that, you'll have done the best.
So start with order. With EVs, especially the commercial goods carrier, these are people whom this situation that best moves to the uh, manufacturing logistics. You say that now for in factories or in manufacturing distances within these kilometers, let's have EVs. Now we are talking.
Yes.
Regional transport, sub-regional transport, whereby you're distributing to households, to grocery shops. Let's have electricals. Those three-wheel cargo vehicles that circulate, distribute items within from one group, let them be electrical. Now we are talking. You are solving a problem. What you are solving a problem? Transportation cost of basic groceries or basic consumer goods. You're saying
Actually,
that.
now that I think about it, now this idea of you're saying we do a lot of copy pasting. Actually, a good business that somebody should consider starting, like a research company, but a research company focused on our problems. So every time, maybe identify one problem. Let's design a better matatu management system, and it should be Kenya-based solution. Yes, you can read what they have done in other places, but also try to bring in the way the Kenyan thinks and operates. I remember sharing with you, I think, was it you who was speaking to about something I saw on social media about how Netherlands manage their street garbage trucks. So they
The
have
one
got the
that goes
initial.
and picks something from, it picks the garbage automatically and loads it. Kitu kama hiyo.
No, no, not that.
Mm.
So what they have done is they have the trash can, but there's also an underground part of it. Somebody's calling my line. Let me pick this. Just give me a sec.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'll send more. I'll send more.
Okay. You are saying about the garbage can has an underground unit or something.
Yes, sorry about that. Sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
It had an underground unit. So, the way sometimes if you see a lot of those bigger cities, the New Yorks and Paris, their garbage, fills up until it
flows
for the
over.
brims. They put it on the side of the can. So I think it was their solution of, maybe sometimes, the whole, I don't know what led to that, but I imagine maybe it was, the city is producing a lot of garbage. We probably are not processing it as fast as we can. So why don't we just create a bigger storage to accommodate maybe 1 week's worth of garbage? And, maybe the routes that they do within a week will be able to process it and still ensure that it still remains, that, it does never overflows. So that's a unique Netherlands approach to garbage management. So what is Kenya's unique approach to matatu and, commuter transportation in Nairobi particularly? The whole thing also with our matatus, the way we put graffiti, I think to some degree it's a novelty and it's a good thing. The idea of maybe the too much noise, maybe we can have some that have that noise and people are well warned, but if you go with this one, maybe you just want to have the experience. And we can actually market it. I remember actually the other day, I think it was last year, a friend was coming to Nairobi for the first time. And I told her, you may want to experience that Nairobi matatu affair. I think the idea is figuring out how do we market it as a touristic thing, rather than just always looking at it as. For me, I think it's
the people who like it. If you compare the ratio of those who like and those who find us a nuisance, a large majority will say it's a headache.
I agree. I agree with that.
And then there's aspect of systematism. There's something called being systematic. A commuter system is supposed to work in a neutral way, because most of the time people are going somewhere, especially on a weekday. They are going to engage in activities that have what we call strong revenue generating aspects. We do want people to operate in a neutral manner.
I agree. That's why
the moment you start introducing some of these aspects of culture, you are now creating an opportunity for other funny things to go through, because some of these vehicles are associated with thuggish characters.
No, I agree. But if you go to, let me give you an example. You go to a city like Austin. Austin has a place called the 6th Street. I think it's called the 6th Street or something of that kind, like an entire street. And what they do, I think it's over the weekend. I was only there on a weekend, I remember. And they block off each part of the each side of the street. Each street, they call Austin as the live music capital of the world. I don't know how true that is, but yes, each street has got some live performance happening. Each bar along that entire strip. It's a long strip. They block it off and allow people to do all kind of shenanigans. What I would say to this is, as a way to show off, and I mean, if you go to many cities, you'd find there these sort of underground cultural elements that were created, but they try to clean them up and create a phenomenon around them enough for it to become a tourist attraction. So the way I would look at these matatus that have the graffiti and the music, I would not have them as matatus that run the normal route. I'll just put them as matatus that are especially for touristic element. So what you're saying is true. The everyday element where everyone needs to go, go to a ride. But how do you maintain that culture of graffiti, of the music, so this should be just, you can say like Buru should have like 2 or 3 of those that operate just specifically for that.
Buru to where?
From Tao to Buru. So you can have a route like Buru having like 2 or 3 maybe another one, two or three in Langata. You can have a few, but your typical matatu that you use for every day should be standardized and running with the official code in terms of, they should be clean, they should not be having loud music, they should not be having that graffiti and all those kind of thuggish elements. But you've taken the creative. It's just the same way you have places, even in these major cities, where they allow for people to do graffiti. They will
Yeah.
essentially rip off a section, but this section is where they will allow, because they can see there's an art element to it. As much as there's an association of graffiti, maybe with uh, drugs and drinking and thuggish behavior, as you put it, but there is that artistic element, and that's why they allow it. They would probably hive off a section and say, this is the area will allow this. Of course, there's also some guidelines. It's not that they will allow the negative aspects of it, but they will allow the good element of the art. That's why I'm saying, yes, let's figure out a way we can have have it as a tourist attraction of Nairobi.
I remember boarding one from, we were doing some work, then we had to walk all the way to some, then we boarded one from Buruburu to town. I remember getting to town, then ukishuka, you were relieved because the music, the stuff was so loud. I was like, hey, 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 this is some crazy shit going on. So maybe you'd say for maybe disco lovers, I don't know, but that is something I I cannot, and I really do not want to identify with, because it, for me, it represents chaos. You see, and then they have this very humongous, very huge screen that the noise. Okay, first off, the music being played is not related to what's being shown on the screen most of the time,
Mm.
and the screen is so, the glare effect is so high. It's daytime, but the thing is so glaring. In fact, you are like, I think I should come with goggles. Ndio nisichomeke macho.
But
So
just
it's
imagine the guys in Buru who are involved in crafting the
and they
body,
like it. Wale huko
in art. Uh-huh. Mhm.
they love it.
They love
So
it.
I think some that one should be placed under, I don't know, Ministry of Culture and Heritage. If you love
Yes,
that
yes,
level of chaos, Sawa will give you your thing to do your controlled chaos. We'll call it what we call a smoking, like when you have a smoking zone. Kwenda vuta vitu,
exactly.
go smoke your cigarettes, but usilete but for me that's a no.
Just
That is
identify the elements that are good. For me,
mm,
the art involved in crafting the body, the art
mm,
involved in crafting the interior, the
mm,
art involved in the graffiti work.
mm.
Let's say we want to preserve and promote those good elements. And we can
So
even have a museum showing how it has evolved from the matatus of the early 2000s, and now how they have gone digital with all these. So hizo
that
vitu
was
zote.
hiyo tutachia Minister for Heritage apambane nayo. I'll just be receiving reports every 6 months. Kunaendeleaje huko? Okay, sawa sawa. Continue with what you are doing. But for me, my take, what I call in fact, the commuter system should be run in such a way that you are convinced to park your car from Monday to Friday, drive it on weekends. That's my take. Should run with
Yeah.
elements of civility, safety, and timeliness, so that you have the capacity to bring out your laptop, do one or two things, three things while you're on the vehicle. Ukifika ofisini, even if you are held in a jam, fika ofisini, you have done one or two things. That is how a well-functioning commuter system. Like the train, you can actually read a book on the train. You
Oh
can pull
yes, I
out a
used to.
laptop and type something on the train. That's why whenever I have to go to town, I find it very. I prefer just to wake up early. The train will take us around 1 hour from Athi River to city center. But that 1 hour ride, if you are busy with something, in fact, I actually sat next to a lady who was reading, appeared to be reading for an exam. She had notes and she had things she had scribbled. There was a textbook. She was, "Oh, no, this, now we are talking." And you can actually, I think the way it is, apart from maybe the racket, your rocking motion, but if you set your sound correctly, you can actually have a quick 30 minutes meeting, video call in that train if you have your own bundles. So I'm looking at a system that allows you to multitask so easily. Things that you could not do while driving, you should be able to do while in a commuter system. That's my take on it. It should be something that sort of brings you closer to your office, literally, no, virtually, not literally. It's taking you to the office, but throughout the journey, you already started performing one or two tasks. That is how a well-functioning commuter system. But wale ambao wanataka disco asubuhi, sawa, you can create your own. You can allow them to have their version of controlled chaos. Wafanye vitu zao, but personally I hey, man, if I remember that vehicle, I'm like, this one, you get to your
But I get
50s.
your idea you are saying of people parking. I remember, was it Mutula Kilonzo who had some of these ideas?
Hmm.
But either way, that's what I'm saying. Somebody needs to come up with, and these things can even be modeled around like hackathon. If you put, brains in technology, in transportation, in all this, put them together in a room. And we want a creative Kenyan solution. It doesn't have to be 100% Kenyan. Take the best of whatever you can from outside. Yes, there are many things that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. But I think there are things about how we function, how we work, how we think, how we do our things that I think we can be able to incorporate to be able to have a fully Kenyan defined solution. And we need to replicate this approach in many other sectors. It could be in transportation. It could be in schooling. It could be in many of the things that we do. So all these things we definitely need to be more creative than just copy pasting solution.
Yeah, that's how.
Here we
In
have a
fact,
lot of guys. We need to give these guys shout out.
we have Robert SFDC, Yuko, Shad Mustafa, Yuko Luti family. Yeah, these are our listeners for today. So that's basically it. What is killing us is copy pasting, and if you look at things like Sana on our corporate scene or in the startup scene, we seem to like product launches very much. We are into launching. I'd be better off launching a factory. We bring people, we ring a bell, and now the land starts producing stuff. You say, now we are on. Launches I find them to be a bit more westernish type of things. Because you launch a product, then unagundua the product ni product ya nje. So you are launching an import. You just need an advert on the newspaper or kwa TV is enough. Why you are into, that's another aspect of copy pasting. What are you launching? For people, for a country in this state where we are better off launching factories. Then launch, if you are launching, you are launching maybe a fifth version of a product that has been running for over like 3-4 years. Now we are launching a better version on a factory that is already running. But if you are launching a product that is going to be imported, that means you are launching something that is going to weaken your shilling. What are you celebrating now? So that's one of the aspects of what you call gift wrapped mediocrity. So anyway, that's who we are. But small changes, pole pole. Um, in the
Possibly.
political,
Yes.
Our president did what he did, and I was listening to some spaces there, and Gen Zs are boiling, and they are saying Tuesday is going to be mother, will be the mother of Mandaman.
Mm.
It's going to be one hell of a
There's a
sight. I
video
know.
maybe I think we need to play. Let's play this video from it was Muhammad Abdul Nasir,
Uh,
Grand Mullah.
let's
He
see.
was being interviewed in Spice FM.
Yeah, yeah. Play it,
Yeah,
play it.
let me play it because I found it quite instructive
Mm.
following the recent.
Himself. If he doesn't get this, this is a second.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
You can see my screen. Okay, good. Let me play it. Make sure the volume is also equal to yes.
This is a second opportunity. I mean, you then if he doesn't get it right, then we will realize that the fundamental problem this country faces is the president himself. If he doesn't get it right, because he must get it right. I mean, I know there are many people telling him the right things. There are many people telling him to do the right things. But of course, there are these, guys who are loping all over the place, status quo, who wants to continue. But the president, and many people have told him, actually, he should be very selfish. Yes, he should be concerned with himself, his government, rather than seeing whether someone should come back to cabinet. I mean, the interest of him as a politician, the interest of the people of Kenya. What Kenyans, it's not very difficult to know what Kenyans want.
No, it is not.
Yes. We all know what we want. So why is the president not delivering for Kenyans what they want? This is a second opportunity. If we don't get it right, then we will realize that the fundamental problem this country faces is the president himself.
Yeah, so this is the, and I think this was a shortened version. I think there was a longer 2-minute version. This was in the morning on Friday, and of course, the president made his announcement in the afternoon at about 4 p.m. But I found it very instructive. I think now looking at and Ahmed Nasir, is sort of in some sense allied to the president. He's been a big, how would I say, sort of support of him in some sense. And for him to come out quite boldly and clearly saying this, I think there's a lot. There's a lot of weight one should hold it for, because I found it a bit disappointing after listening to his pronouncement of the cabinet. I know this is a nomination, so they're still yet to go through the process with Parliament, where they need to be vetted. But in many cases, nominations are like, it's a done deal. Maybe this will be different. Maybe Parliament might be influenced by the voices outside of Parliament. But in many senses, I don't think there have been any nominations from the president that have been denied. In many cases, they are, after he's nominated, it's almost a sure shot. It's gonna go through. So I am finding, and I'm also reflecting on some conversation I listened with some of these pundits, and one of them said, the president really needs to mean what he's doing and not seem to be playing tricks, because to some degree I feel that's what he's doing. I feel he's not genuine. Even listening to that whole pronouncement of his on Friday, it did not feel authentic. It did not feel genuine. It had all the nice buzzwords. I had done broad-based consultation. I had done soul searching. I'll produce a roadmap. It had those nice sounding words, but it didn't feel like it came from within. It didn't feel like he meant what he's doing. And as much as it feels like he's conceding, I think he's conceding with is still got something, is holding behind and thinking he can maybe trick his way. This is a very different point in time of this country. And for him to gather that sort of goodwill, he also needs to come in with some goodwill. And I feel the goodwill is still lacking from the president. As much as I feel there are people that are ready to give him the benefit of the doubt, there are people that are ready to give him another second, third, and fourth chance. There are people that are ready to sort of wait it out until the next general election. But I don't think he's making any steps to help himself towards that, to garner that goodwill, garner that benefit of the doubt, give him the space that he needs to run government. And that's why probably the reason why these things are not dying, as much as there might be some other, forces behind some of these protests and things like that. But there's some genuine concern. Yes.
I didn't even listen to the session. Very simple. My reason was, as long as there's no change, or we are not aware of any changes in the way the appointments are made, why should you expect it? It's like you are trying to squeeze an orange and then you are expecting grape juice. How, or in which, under which unless there's a very huge mambo jumbo, genetical mambo jumbo, which is not there, of course, to make an orange to produce grape juice or coconut water to taste like strawberry. That is not going to happen. Unless you are told now the modalities or the system for generating these appointments is now changing. Now I can listen. But as long as is this thing, everything goes quiet, then the guy appears there and reads the list. How is this list being generated? If we do not see the method behind the system, it just becomes another mambo jumbo session. And that's why there was a forum, I think yesterday, where people talk about it, but I raised something else. Mine was that from now on, when it comes to this so-called, before it goes to the parliament, let it be, if it is CS, let it be an open application system that is backed by AI. It looks at your professional, personal traits, uses also facial expression, speech patterns, to give you a decent idea if you're suitable for the job. Let it be open, because this is a job. But such a serious job, you're limiting it to appointments, and we do not know the method behind the appointment. What are you expecting? So for me, it was no shock. It was no surprise. Because this is the same method that has landed us very funny characters in this position. This is the same system that gave us the Linturis. This is the same system that brought us people like Mulu Mutisia in a cabinet position. So, what are you expecting? Unachukua gari ambayo unajua hii gari huwa the gears are skipping, inaenda ikitoa moshi, the steering wheel haina alignment to off, then you are bringing the same vehicle. We know it's in the same condition, and you want it to perform. So as long as there was no announcement on how we are making drastic changes in the way we make appointments, it just becomes another circus. We're at a point where you have to look at the methodology of how these people are picked. So this is not the first time we have funny characters in cabinet positions. There are people unajua tu ukiangalia tabia zao should not even be the highest position in society, should be labda kusukuma mkokoteni wa maji or selling stuff by the street. But somehow they end up in a very powerful position where decisions you make will affect the future of the republic. We had a minister of transport who actually insulted somebody's mother on TV. I think this was Ali Makwere. at the time where people are making noise about the condition of the ferries. This system of appointments has always guaranteed very weird characters in these positions. And these positions should be having some of the sharpest minds. The sharpest tools on the trade should be the one holding those positions. Somebody who's been holding a position like in trade, this is someone who should have a very powerful mind in terms of manufacturing policies, things to do with import export volume in the republic, and all of them together, the entire group should have that communal. What should bind them is what we call currency sovereignty. What are we doing all together to make our shilling stronger? Because you are in 2024 and you are still worried about dollar reserves. That means you are claiming sovereignty na bado unababaika na pesa ya watu wengine. So it's as long as I didn't hear anything about making drastic changes on how we employ these people, nilijua it will just be another Kenyan comedy show. And now people are going to the streets again. They are going to get tear gas, they are going to get batoned and everything worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to some crazy level. As much as I'm seeing the frustration with the government, with the president himself more specifically. And then I'm just seeing also the vitriol online. Like I'm just seeing some people, there are people that are very vile on the internet. It's like they don't understand the consequence of their words.
Yeah.
They just
Loose
throw
talk.
things out. They're just so loose. And I bet many of those guys, I know like one, this Guaido guy. I've never seen him out on the streets.
He was there. I saw him once. I think the second demo. I saw him.
Yeah, and I see how he communicates. He's even changed his communication style to now sort of he's sort of communicating in a third party kind of a way. Like I saw him, it says, wanasema kaende. Wanasema Gen Z wamepanga nini. So it's sort of, he's trying to isolate himself while trying to agitate people, or rather to incite people to be out there, and then they get killed. While he himself, and that one time he actually showed up is after people saying, we never see you on the street. You're just out, just pushing your mouth out there. He's now attacking Boni. I've seen those attacks online.
What is a bit disappointing is that we have not seen a situation whereby someone is throwing valuable, actionable suggestions to the government.
100%.
What we have is saying what we don't want. And this is something I threw we had a space at Kibe about Gen Z. We expect you people, you are supposed to be the guys who are tech savvy. And when you had a few minutes, the president, he turned into a therapy session. I tried to raise my hand, but I think the queue was too long. And when there was an opportunity to say negotiate, the best way would have to change the narrative. Instead of negotiating, say we are coming in with suggestions. Some are quick turnaround, medium turnaround, and long-term turnaround. And yesterday I was in another space and said, you see, these are politicians. If you engage them in a technical way, they'll have to reach back to their let me just pick this form briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, we can continue. So my take is this: if we engage them in a technical way, they'll have no option now to backtrack and reach out their technical teams and bring them on board. So it becomes a technical discussion, and the political class are temporarily shoved aside. Once we've shoved them aside, it now becomes a fully technical discussion. We now discuss solution, and we maintain the momentum so that it's solution oriented. Kabisa. So each time the political class tries to raise its head, you are bombarded with more technical solutions and suggestions. So that it becomes a meeting of experts in the field. If it's expert in transportation, expert in disaster control, Vitukama and whatnot. But the moment you go with the emotions, emotion is the fuel for the political system.
You're 100% right. You're 100%. And that's something I've been seeing lacking. And that's why even I was about to tweet. I think earlier in the week I tweeted Kenya needs a Kofi Annan moment. But the other tweet I felt we needed to do is we need to have some adults in the room in Kenya. And there seems like there are none. Because the Gen Zs to some degree are operating like spoiled brats. And of course the politicians at the helm are just treating them as the way they are coming. Would be great. I mean, we've seen the Law Society of Kenya come in a big way in terms of, working towards helping those that have been arrested unlawfully, helping to recover those that have been abducted, engaging with the police. Would have been great if the Law Society now can create a committee and start saying, hey guys, let's organize even online to now say, okay, if you're disappointed with the cabinet proposals from the president, who are the ones we can probably push towards him? And we all sign against it. And maybe we can begin now fronting. As you're saying, yes, that could be now one approach. What other technical solutions can we offer the government instead of just being seen as just spoiled brats going out there saying we are agitating for Ruto must go, but with nothing tangible to follow that with? As actually somebody said online, I think this was IQ Watson. We don't know what we want, but we know what we don't
You know what
want.
you don't want. And when you
Yes.
say, I was addressing it directly.
Given, yeah, it's a
say,
very.
we want good governance. From who? Who do you want the good? You step forward and create that blueprint for the good governance. Who do you want good? Who do you want who to give you that good governance? You talk about. You create it, or at the very least, create the blueprint. It's now, I don't know week number what, since the
week number 5, I think.
We should even be having, we should even be having a shadow government by now.
100%.
So the shadow government is the picture of the good governance. The Gen Z should already be having what I call them tenets or the philosophy. What is it all about? Because each country, the ruling team has a philosophy. If you go to places like Japan, their main philosophy, I think, is honesty, integrity, so that when a minister or a leader is caught in a bad way, he has to resign immediately in shame. The Saudis is all about ensuring continuous availability of crude oil. That's why they are saving over 100 million barrels per day. China and America, they are competing for world dominance. So there is certain philosophy or a one-liner that is associated with a certain group. Then within that one-liner, we have the points that strengthen it. So I was talking to when I engaged some of them in the space. What is your philosophy? What is your tenet? What is your defining characteristic?
You know what? Come to think of it, it reminds me, this Occupy thing didn't start with us. The Occupy thing started, I think, was it the Occupy Wall Street? It was in the US, I think, at the time. And I remember how the way these guys would do is they would just decide to camp at a place. Like they would camp outside Wall Street. And immediately they would start forming committees amongst themselves. So there will be a committee, it could be on constitution, it could be a committee on all these things, corruption, good governance, or whatever. As you're saying, even the philosophy, I think they had even come up with a document of what are the philosophy or the values that would guide this Occupy Wall Street movement. So this Gen Z movement, what is behind it? What is it that they are being guided by? Can't just be them. Now it needs to become more tangible. I think these protests have become just, as they have said, headless, leaderless, tribeless. There's no way they're going to make movement with that. And maybe that's the reason why even the president is playing tricks on them. It just becomes a whole cat and mouse thing because we are not responding substantively. And that's why I'm saying there are no adults in the room. I think some of the politicians now, if they were smart enough, the Okiya Mutatas should be the ones now coming in to provide some kind of a structure and a program behind this. The guy is behind LSK.
You see, what the country lacks is what you call actionable technical solution, an outline. You see, the beauty of a technical solution is that it has a predictable outcome. That's the beauty of a technical solution. If you do this, there's a 60% chance this is what you expect. If we implement this law, there's a percentage that these will be the outcomes. Hakuna hiyo. So this is like a guerrilla war that runs on as long as you have bullets. You have something to fire at, okay, fire. Then one day you're going to run out of ammo.
There are no adults, the so-called Gen Zs. I think we've also placed so much credence on them. This is not to really shit on what they have done. But
no, what they've done is like is acceleration. It's like horsepower versus torque. Horsepower will give you acceleration to launch, but you need that torque to maintain momentum now. Otherwise, somebody will come from behind and overtake you.
And I guess that's where they're taking this whole thing now that we are seeing. Even these online bloggers now sort of having an infighting. It could be also a very well orchestrated game to just create that distraction. So now they're fighting one another. Then it becomes a whole, again, the divide and rule. If you're pro this guy, you're against this guy, you now start creating your own camps. Or me, I'm this guy, I'm pro this guy. Or me, I'm pro this guy. While you forget the whole essence, we all should be pro Kenya, not pro anyone.
So
anyway,
1 hour,
we've
3
done
minutes.
Yeah, man.
So I want to give a big thank you to Robert SFDC. Thank you for also reposting and liking the link on Twitter. As usual, Sarif Mustafa, our Lone Wolf audience, always there, always present, always supporting. Loot family, the man with the boat. Nasema, thank you very much. And if I may be allowed, can I say adios from Athi River?
Adios from Kigali, Rwanda. We'll see you on the next one.